Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Natalie. I'm tired, therefore you're watching Natalie is Tired. Today we will be discussing or summarizing One Piece Volume 2, which is just this one here, and then number 2. Um, but first of all, we're going to start from where we left off, which was at the very end of One Piece Part 1. And that's when we were being introduced to Nami, which is this lady here. Um, yeah, let's begin. So, at the end of Volume 1 of One Piece, we see that Zoro decided to join Luffy's crew to be a pirate. So, the pirate Killer has now become a pirate. So yeah, he's part of the crew, and he's also on his journey to become the world's greatest swordsman, which is pretty good for someone who's going to be the king of the pirates. We've got the world's greatest swordsman as well on that crew. Um, they're hungry. They're on a little dinghy. They don't have a navigator. Don't know where they're going or what they're doing by the seams of it. Just vibing and taking themselves where the sea takes them. But as they're hungry, Luffy sees a massive bird in the sky, thinks, yep, gonna eat that, uses his Gum Gum powers, stretches up, gets taken away by the bird. Meanwhile, a pirate crew from Buggy the Clown, Buggy the Pirate Clown, Buggy the, yeah, Buggy the Clown, they're going past them in the water, and of the pirate Buggy the clown try and steal the boat that Zoro's on, and obviously they realize who Zoro is, so they decide to say, "Okay, we'll stay you wherever you want to go. We're sorry," and Zoro's kind of like, why have you tried to steal this little dinghy anyway? And it goes into a flashback, and we see Nami on her little boat, and she's looking quite exhausted, and she's saying, "Oh, do you have any water or at least some bread?" And Buggy the Clown, who we'll get into who Buggy the Clown is in a little bit, his crew say, "Yes, we'll help you. We just need to look at your treasure chest first." And she's like, "Yeah, of course, whatever, just have a look at it." And in the next second, Nami's on their boat and she's sailing off and into the distance, and the pirate crew are in shock and they're like, "Oh no, what's going on?" And Nami's good at gauging the weather, so she's predicting the what will be happening with the weather, I think she says. Let's have a look. She said, "Dark clouds coming in low from the south. That means a cold front, folks, with a strong likelihood of violent showers. There's a squall line heading this way. Small vessels should take precautions against capsizing." And then in the next scene, the boat capsizes, and she's like, "Thanks for the treasure." And they're not happy because obviously they're now in the water without a boat. So that's when it flashes back to Buggy's pirates on the ship explaining the situation, saying, "Oh, and that's the whole sad situation." And even Zoro at this point is like, that she'd make a good navigator because she can predict what's going on with the weather as well. And Buggy the Clown's pirates are not happy. They're saying, "Oh, we think she'll make a great corpse." And then they start talking about what they're going to do about the lost treasure and the lost ship because their leader's not going to be happy. And Zoro's kind of like, "Who's this buggy guy anyway?" And the team says, "Only the most ferocious pirate in these parts. Haven't you heard of Buggy the Clown? He ate the fruit of the devil." And Zoro's kind of like, the fruit of the devil? And I guess maybe it's not registering with him because he knows that Luffy has the Gum Gum fruit. So maybe he's just wondering which fruit has been taken. Then, as we come to the very end of the book, it flashes back to Nami. She's docked her ship on land and she's running away from Buggy's pirate crew. She's got a map in her hand. She says, "I finally have it, a map of the Grand Line." And then Captain Buggy's crew say, "Oh, Captain Buggy, there's something odd in the sky. Shoot it down with the cannon." and it's the bird with Luffy attached to it, and they shoot it down, and Luffy lands, and he's like, "Oh wow, I'm alive," and Nami takes that as her chance. She says, "Oh boss, you've come here to rescue me," and Buggy's pirate crew say, "Oh boss, that's gonna be worth more to us than this crew member," so they go to attack Luffy, and I guess maybe they nick his hat or something with their knife, and Luffy's not happy about that. So he says, "Don't touch the hat." He beats them up, and Nami's there watching him, and she's like, "Wow, you're pretty strong. Took all those pirates down. Would you like to team up with me? I rob pirates." And Luffy's kind of like, "Oh, team up with you robbing pirates?" And that's the end of Volume 1. Volume 2 is a continuation of their conversation. Nami is just explaining that she robs pirates, she steals treasure from them, and Luffy's kind of like, "Oh, I don't want to team up with you." I guess because, as I said previously, he has kind of a sense of justice and morals, so he probably doesn't want to be around people that just because he's not really met or spoken to her, he doesn't want to be around someone that just steals from people. Nami follows him. She says, "Wait a minute, why'd you get so mad when that guy touched your hat? Is it valuable?" And Luffy says it's his treasure because obviously Shanks has given him the hat and said that when he becomes king of the pirates, or when he's gotten better, or he is a pirate and he's got a crew, then he should meet him and give his hat back. So yeah, it means a lot to him. But Nami doesn't understand that because obviously most pirates, and I would assume that people like Nami who steal from pirates, think treasure's just like jewels and golds. It's not something that has particular meaning to it, but in Luffy's situation, it does have meaning to it, and in some other people's situation, it has meaning to it too. And then the next scene goes to a tavern, or the roof of a tavern that where Buggy the Clown's talking to his crew, asking how they've managed to let Nami get away with robbing them because she's got the map of the Grand Line. They were just about to head there, and so he's not happy about it. But because he's a clown, and I'll show you a picture of him in a second, or when I can find when it gets to that stage of the book. Because he's a clown. It's so dumb because they make some jokes about his nose because he does have like a rubber nose. Let me just find a picture of him and then we will. Yeah, here he is. Just this guy there on the right, left. Um, yeah, so he's got like a big clown nose as you do, and he's got the clown face paint on and everything. And in one of the parts of the manga, it talks about how he destroyed a whole village because someone made fun of his nose. And in this particular scene, it's just it's so dumb because he's saying, "How could you let the map of the Grand Line get stolen?" And then one of his crewmates say, "Well, you see, sir, see, Captain, sir, somehow the key to the map room got left in the lock, and only the robber knows." And then Buggy cuts him off. He says, "What did you say?" He says, "I said rubber nose." And he says, "What, rubber nose?" And then all hell starts breaking loose, and he's up in the guy's face. He says, "Does my nose look funny to you? You think it looks fake?" And then, because obviously robber knows, but he's saying rubber nose. Yeah. And he says, "No, no, it's a mistake. I meant the thief." And he said, "Oh, so now it's a steak. It looks like beef." And yeah, so he goes to beat the guy up and he uses his powers, and yeah, he starts choking the crew member out because he thinks he's been insulted. And it's just silly play on words, but it's so dumb for, a big pirate guy to be getting so offended over his nose so quickly and just jump to conclusions. This poor crew member just getting bullied for no reason. And then, because of this as well, is his own crew. Yeah, he says he's using the power of the devil for it to ready a cannon and to blast his teammate to pieces. And yeah, it's so mean. So they blast the guy, they shoot him either through the cannon or shoot him with the cannon, and then they say, "Get my map, and we're gonna take everything from this town." So then it panels back to Nami and Luffy just sitting in some random person's house, and they're discussing Luffy having lost Zoro. She says, "Oh, so you've lost your crew at sea. How many do you have?" And he says, "Just one for now." The house they're sat in, he's asking if it's Nami's, and Nami says, "Oh no, just most of the townspeople. They don't want to be around Boogie's crew, and as they're in the tavern nearby, so they've kind of just evacuated their houses and things." And because she's said that she's a thief, Luffy's like, "Oh, so you're just gonna steal from people's houses whilst they're away?" And she's like, "No, I steal from pirates, not from people. I'm not that lowly, essentially." And yeah, she's just talking about. She talks a little bit about Buggy the Clown and how he's the infamous cannon happy buccaneer because he uses his cannon to blast people. But Luffy's not really listening to her, and he's kind of looking around. He's like, "Oh, I wonder why there's no so little people here." And she's like, "I just told you." And she starts getting stressed out by him. Um, because he's not really listening. And then that's when Nami explains that she needs to get 100 million berries, which is a lot of berries. And she said she's going to once she has 100 million berries, she's going to buy a certain village. And Luffy's like, "Buy a village for 100 million berries? That's a lot of money, even for a great pirate." And so she pulls out the map of the Grand Line. She says she's going to use that. And after she steals Boogie the Clown's treasure, I'm going to head for the Grand Line. And then I'll steal treasures of even bigger pirates. And that's how she'll get her money a little bit faster. And then she asks if Luffy will team up with her because of how he's shown that he can fight well. And Luffy says that he wants a navigator as he's going to be also heading along the Grand Line for his pirate crew. And she says no way. Says that she hates pirates and that she would never team up with him because he's a pirate. And she didn't know that he was a pirate until just now. And she says, "Oh, you're just after some treasure. You keep the map in your hat." And he says, "There's no map in my hat." She says, "Then why is that raggedy old hat so precious to you, liar?" And he says, "I treasure this hat because a friend gave it to me a long time ago. That's when I swore I'd gather a crew and become a pirate." And Nami's kind of just judging him, say, "Oh, these are crazy times, pirates." Ugh. And yeah, on the next page it says, "If there's one thing in this world I really hate, it's pirates, but I love money and tangerines." And that seems so random at this point, but we will get into it. And when I say we'll get into it, we will get into it, but not today. Um, and she's just having some thoughts about herself, not liking pirates and things. And Luffy's really not getting it. He's saying, "Oh, so you want to be my navigator?" Kind of like the way he was with Zoro, and he was saying, "Oh, just join my crew. Just join my crew. It's fine." Even though he kills pirates, and this lady here, Nami, steals from pirates. But she's saying, "No, I'm not joining your pirate crew, but I can help you out on one condition. If you help me, come with me to speak to Buggy the Clown." Um, and Luffy's like, "Okay, cool, we'll go." Don't know why. And then she gathers some rope, and she says, "Oh," Luffy asks, "Why are you bringing rope?" She says, "Oh, I always carry rope." And it's basically just a trap, essentially. She ends up tying Luffy up and taking him as hostage. And she takes him to the tavern, and Buggy's still shouting at his team members, saying, "Oh, you let some lady, in not nicer terms, get away." And they're saying, "Please, sorry, Mr. Buggy, is because of her boss. He was strong, and he beat us up." And he goes, "For this, you die." And so he starts beating up his crew members again. And another crew member said, "It's the map stealer. She just walked in the door." And Buggy's like, "Good, bring her here." And then he goes, "Wait a minute. I mean, Belayla, what's her game? Why did she come back?" Which is valid because she just ran away with your map, and now she's coming back just waltzing casually through the door by her own means. And she's come back and she's got Luffy. And the team that got beaten up by Luffy as well is like, oh, she's got the boss. He is him as well, but she's got him tied up. And Nami goes, Captain Buggy, I've captured the thief, and here's your map. So she hands over Luffy to Captain Buggy and hands over her map. And she says that she wants to join their team because she's had a dispute with her employer as he's an idiot. So yeah, they accept her, and then they're drinking away. They're trying to outdrink everyone, and Nami's saying, "Oh, they'll never outdrink me," and she doesn't get outdrank by the pirates. Meanwhile, Luffy is in a cage tied up, and he's not happy. He's saying, "Oh, don't think about joining my crew now." And then we panel on to the next scene where Zoro and the other members of Buggy's crew come to the shore, and Zoro's like, take me to your captain. Maybe he knows what Luffy is. And I just wanted to show you this panel because Zoro looks really cool in it. He's a cool dude. Anyways, Boogie and crew and Nami, now part of the Boogie crew, are all celebrating and they're drinking, and Luffy's in the cage, and Nami goes to visit Luffy, asking how he's doing, and he's kind of annoyed. He says he's hungry. She gives him food. He's like, "Oh, maybe you're not so bad after all." And she says, "Oh, don't you know you realize what's gonna happen to you? But if my plan works, I might give you the key to the cage." And Buggy comes over. He says, "You picked the wrong partner." And Luffy's like, "She's not my partner," because it's true they never actually were part of a team. But Buggy doesn't know that, and so Buggy takes it as, oh yeah, of course you would say that now because now that she's betrayed you, and he's laughing and saying that he's gonna essentially kill Luffy. So he's got Luffy in the cage, and he's got one of his buggy balls, which is, I think, like it's like a cannonball but much stronger. I don't know what he's done to it. Maybe he's like done something with the devil fruit. I'm not sure, but his cannonballs are very strong, and he shows the power of his cannonballs as well, the boogie balls, by readying it in the cannon, and he shoots into the village, and it blasts through like a bunch of houses, and he says like that would absolutely pummel a small village. In a different situation. And so they say, so that's how they've shown off the power of the boogie ball, and they're basically saying we're gonna we're gonna kill Luffy the same way that with this cannonball that we've just absolutely desecrated all these buildings. And they ask Nami to light the fuse for it, and she's like, what? No, I don't really want to do that. And she's thinking to herself, oh, if I do that, I'm no better than a pirate, I'll just be cold too. And she's kind of stalling, and Buggy saying, don't stall, just do it. And one of the other guys of the crew was saying, oh, don't you know how to light a fuse? You just do this. And she's got some cane thing, stick, um, I don't know what they're called, um, in her little Ghana thing, and she smacks one of the guys, and Buggy's not happy. Says, I just trusted you. You joined my team, and now you're hurting my men, and calling her a traitor already. And she's like, oh, I couldn't help myself. I didn't want to be as lowly as you guys. And Luffy's like, oh, so you are gonna save me? Thank you. And she's like, no, you're a pirate. I just don't want to be as bad as you. And Nami discusses, well, she talks about pirates, and she says, you pirates took someone dear to me. I'll never become what I hate. And that's when Luffy has his understanding of why she dislikes pirates. She says, oh, so that's why you hate pirates. And the fuse has already been lit, and the cannon is quite literally in Luffy's face. I don't think it could get any closer in this picture of them. And if I can show you there, it's so close. I don't want to. So then all of or a Buggy's pirate crew, or some of the members of Buggy's pirate crew, start charging at Nami, and she starts having to fight them. Starts having to fight them, and Luffy's trying desperately to get out of the cage. He's chomping at the bars. He actually looks like he's doing a good job, to be fair, of this cage. And the fuse is just getting shorter and shorter on the cannon, and it looks like Nami's trying to pull him out, or Oh no, she's trying to pull the fuse out. I think she manages to, she must do. But then as she's doing that, Buggy's pirates are starting to surround her from behind, and Luffy's like, behind you, but him to the rescue comes Zoro, another image of him being a cool dude. Luffy's like, oh, I'm glad you found me, get me out of here. And Zoro's like, why, what are you doing? Always goofing around. First you fly off with a bird, and now you're playing in some cage, you fool. And the other pirate crew, well, Buggy's pirate crew, saying, "Oh wait, Zoro, what's this guy doing here?" And Nami's just as confused. She's saying, "Is this the crewmate he's talking about, the pirate hunter? What's going on?" And Buggy the Clown's there saying, "Oh, you must have come to capture me," because obviously he's the pirate hunter. And Zoro kind of just slices through Buggy the Clown, but we don't know what devil fruit Boogie the Clown's taken just yet, and so he gets sliced into little pieces. Well, not little pieces, he gets sectioned by his body and a leg and his arm, and everyone's saying, "Oh, that's too easy," and I was thinking, "Oh, that is too easy because these fights are never that simple, are they?" And he's just laying on the ground for a little bit. And Zoro's saying to himself, "That's almost disappointing," and then Luffy needs to get out. All the pirate crew are laughing, and Nami says, "What's with those pirates? Their captain gets killed and they just laugh about it." And they're trying to get Luffy out of the cage, but the bars are too thick for Zoro to put through. Zoro's telling them to cut out the laughing, give him the key before he starts having to beat them up. But then Zoro unfortunately gets stabbed in the back, and falls to the ground, and there's a hand, it's just a hand that's attached to the knife as well. And it turns out that Boogie the Clown has been using, well, consumed the chop chop fruit, which means that his body can be diced and sliced, but he won't die because it's chop chop. His body just comes apart. It can be chopped up and will have no consequence. That's the fruit that he ate. It's another funny situation of Luffy being dumb or just things being dumb. Because there's a panel where Luffy says, "Chop chop man, that guy's a freak." And then there's another box that points at Luffy and it says, "Gum gum man." It turns out that thankfully Buggy the Clown missed Zoro's vitals but still got him in quite a not nice spot. I mean, any spot, anywhere to be stabbed isn't going to be a nice place to be stabbed, is it really? So yeah, he's a little bit weak and he's struggling, and Nami's kind of stressing because she's thinking to herself, well, if these two die, I'm definitely gonna die, so I'm gonna have to help them with the situation. Luffy's telling them that it's a bit messed up to be stabbing someone in the back as a dirty trick, which is true. And he says, stabbing someone in the back, that's fighting dirty. You got that big nose. And once again, Buggy's crew, mouth drop, gasp, shock, everything, because no one messes with Buggy's nose. And he says, "You dare to call me Big Nose?" And Nami's in shock. She says, "You fool! That's the one thing you never." And yeah, it looks like Buggy throws his sword hand through the gap and tries to kill Luffy, but Luffy catches the knife with his mouth, so he's gonna clobber him. Buggy finds that very funny and he's laughing about it because, of course, Luffy's just trapped in the cage. Luffy tells Zoro to run, and they're asking, everyone's asking, "Oh, why is he running away from the situation?" But it's just to move the cannons, or moves the cannon, faces it to everyone else, and everyone gets scared because the cannon's no longer facing Luffy. And so Zoro tells Nami to light the cannon so it can blast the buggy crew. And then, with all the distraction of everything going on, Zoro manages to grab the cage and drag it with Luffy in to run away, and Nami joins them, and everyone's in just absolute shock because I think some of the pirate crew was saying it took 5 people to carry that. There's no way he's going to be able to drag that away, but he does because he's a strong man, and But they are worried about him because obviously he's got the cut in his back, and Luffy's saying, "Oh, you're gonna squirt your guts out," and he's saying, "Oh, it's okay, I'll just push him back in." It's like, "Oh, okay, you enjoy that." But he's strong, he gets there, and they run away, and they land in front of a pet shop. And Nami's even saying, why do you think that this is a good place to hide in the middle of the street?" And just before that, Boogie's assembling his crew up again and saying, "Oh, we're not gonna let three losers embarrass us, and we're gonna bring out the big guns now." And then there's a whole page for Moji, the lion tamer, and that's Boogie's first mate. And it's a guy that looks like a lamb or something, where he's got a lamb crop top on and a lamb face beard strap thing, and it's got little ears as well as his regular ears. And he's on top of this massive lion. Moji's saying, "Oh, can I take off um Roronoa Zoro's head?" And Boogie's like, "Take off what you want, do what you want." And also as another side thing for Moji, the lion tamer, I'm pretty sure in one of the question and answer corners in the mangas, they say that that's his real hair and he grows it out. I'll have to fact check that afterwards though. But yeah, so going back to Zoro and Prue, Zoro manages to land off in front of the pet shop, and he passes out because he's lost a lot of blood and he needs to rest. They see that there's a dog in front of the pet store, and they're wondering, is it real? Because he's moving, he's not really moving. Here's said dog. Um, and he's got a whole page to himself, as he deserves. Luffy pokes the dog, and the dog bites him. He's like, "Get off of me!" Nami says, "Oh, thanks for saving me." And she had stolen the key to the cage, so she just, instead of handing it to them like a normal person, because obviously they're pirate scum in Nami's eyes, she just throws the key on the ground in front of the cage. And of course, as I expected, and I'm sure we all expected, if when reading this, the dog eats the key, and they are not happy. Luffy's fuming. He said, "Cough it up. That's not food. Give me the key." And he's fighting the poor dog, strangling the poor dog because he wants the key. And someone comes over, and who is it? It's the mayor, and his name's Boodle, and his hair is like a poodle, and it's so cute. He's mayor of Port Town, so that's where they've landed, is Port Town. He says, "Leave. Don't pick on all. Don't pick on poor old Shoo Shoo." And they're saying, "Shoo Shoo, who are you, old timer?" And so he says he's the mayor of the town. So the mayor takes Zoro off to his house so that he can rest. And he says that he explained that there is a doctor nearby. But Zoro said no, he just needs to sleep it off, because that's when you get stabbed, you just take a little nap and you feel much better. Um, so yeah, they talk about the dog, and he says that he's just come to feed Shoo Shoo. Kind of flashes back as well to Shoo Shoo's story, and they talk about how a good friend of him owned the pet store that they're camping out in front of. That he opened the shop, and it goes through their memories. Um, of Shushu and his owner working at the shop together a little bit. It shows that Shushu's got a few wounds on him because he's been fighting the pirates to guard the shop, as the shop is his treasure. Nami's kind of annoyed. She's saying, "Yeah, I'm sure the shop means a lot to Shushu's master, but it's kind of cruel to just leave him to guard the shop." And the mayor explains, "Oh no, that's not the case. Shushu's owner actually passed away. He went to the hospital 3 months ago and essentially didn't come back." And everyone's like, "Oh, he's been waiting for his master the whole time," which is sad. And the mayor says, "That's what everyone thinks, but I don't think so. I think it's because the store is his treasure. He's a smart dog. He knows the owner's dead." he cares deeply for the store because that's what he's got left of his beloved master. And it's so sad. And the mayor is saying that he's been trying to bring Shushu to the shelter away from the danger of the pirates, but he won't move. He'd rather starve to death than leave the post. And so that's why the mayor just brings him his food. Then after they've explained that Moji, the lion tamer, he comes plodding along with himself, looking all arrogant and stuff, saying, "Oh, what have they got here? They call me the lion tamer. I can tame any animal," and then swiftly gets bitten by Shushu, who proves him wrong. And yeah, Moji's saying how annoyed Captain Buggy is because of the situation he's been put in. And here it is. Luffy says, "Hey, what's with the weird costume?" And Moji says, "Costume, this is my hair." And Luffy says, "That just makes it weirder." And which is true because the style is interesting. But yeah, I didn't really time order it. He gets bitten after that conversation, but yeah, Nami and the mayor are hiding, and Moji gets his lion to try and chomp on Luffy, but it kind of just destroys the cage and Luffy gets away, but everyone thinks he's dead. So Moji decides, "Oh yeah, we've killed Luffy, so let's go find Zoro now." The lion starts sniffing in the air and he can smell the food from the pet food store, and it's just Shushu there guarding. He's not happy, he's not moving, he's not scared because he's a brave dog. And so there's a bit of a showdown between Shushu and the lion tamer. And the lion, they're wondering why Shushu's being so, standoffish. And they're like, "Oh, what are you even guarding this pet store for?" Says, "You little mutt, don't tell me you're guarding this crummy shop." Shushu's getting ready to defend, and he's fighting the lion and puts up a good fight, but unfortunately doesn't win, bless his little heart. And it's as he's fighting, it goes through the flashbacks as well of Shushu with his owner, and it says, "Look, Shushu, the store's all finished. You and me will make it prosper together." And yeah, as they're fighting still, he's fighting for his store. It's his treasure. It's his memories. It's what matters to. It's his owner. It's the last of his owner that he's got, and you know, oh, it's so sad. In the next panel of the flashback, it says business is awful slow, so they're struggling with their pet store and Shushu barks, I'm assuming in agreement, and then the mayor says, "Having a rough time." Oh, rough. Um, Fine, I'll buy some pet food to eat, and then Shushu's owner is saying, "Look at, you look like a dog, but I didn't know you ate like one too." And then the mayor is saying, "You idiot, I'm trying to help you." And the fight is quite good because obviously she's very determined, and he's just a small dog in comparison to a massive lion and a man dressed as a lamb or whatever he is on the lion. And there's more flashbacks. We sold 100 boxes today, and then there's another one. Shoo shoo, how many times have I told you not to eat the merchandise? And then there's a lady patting him and says, "Heh, that's the smartest, bravest dog in town, miss," which is true because here Shoo Shoo is fighting a lion and a grown man. Um, and yeah, the last thing that his owner says to him before he never sees him again is, "All right, Shoo Shoo, you're in charge of the shop while I'm in the hospital." And of course, the owner never comes back, so he's been in charge ever since, and oh, it's devastating. Um, and then in the next scene, Luffy's on his way to find Zoro, and as he's walking by, he sees the Shushu's been quite badly beaten. And in one of our other panels, we've got the lion eating the dog food. By the way, like what would the lion want with one bag of dog food or a couple bags of dog food? I'm sure, clearly they must not be feeding this lion anyway, if he's really just on his way to munching on the dog food like that. But anyway, the lions, the lion and the lion tamer have won, and he says, "What kind of fool would pit a dog against me anyway? Well, he'll never sell pet food in this town again," which is just nasty. And yeah, Luffy's walking, looking for Zoro, sees the pet store is completely gone, essentially just into nothingness, and Shushu's just barking in distress at his pet shop, and oh, it's so sad. And you guys have to see it now because I had to see it. Luffy's like, this is his master store. It's gone. His treasure. It's his treasure's gone. Luffy's getting the flashbacks of what the mayor was saying that I think Shushu still guards the store, and you can see like the anger or like the shock or the sadness in Luffy's eyes because all that's left of his beloved master. And so Luffy decides, oh no, this is not happening today. So you see him getting ready to fight, so he gets in the way of the lion tame emoji and its lion. And Moji's confused. He's like, "Didn't I just kill you? How are you still alive?" And Luffy's like, "I'm a robot man. What are you gonna do? You're gonna take a lot more than that to kill me." And Luffy absolutely destroys the lion, the bully lion, the nasty lion. I usually like animals in books and things, but I do not like this lion. He's a nasty lion, just like his owner is a nasty owner. Um, but yeah, Luffy destroys the lion, knocks him out. Lion Tamer is not happy, he's so confused. He's like, oh my gosh. He says, what are you, you freak? And Luffy explains, a long time ago, I ate the fruit of the gum gum tree. And the lion tame emoji's saying, "Oh, so you ate one of the devil fruits like Buggy did," and so he gets scared. He says, "Okay, okay, I'll give you all the gold you want. Just let me apologize and go alive." And Luffy's not having it because why would we have it? You did not show mercy to Shushu, just a poor little baby guarding his treasure. And you want mercy now as a grown man who bullied a dog with a lion. Anyways, Luffy's not having it. I'm not having it. And he says it's too late for apologies. They won't bring that dog's treasure back. Exactly. Don't give it if you can't take it. Anyways, he says that's why I came to clobber you. I want to show you this because we all felt this rage, didn't we? Yep, yep. So Luffy beats up Moji, rightfully so, but obviously that still isn't gonna bring back Shushu's treasure, which is really sad. And he's just sat there, poor baby, in front of the destroyed building that was his owner's pet shop. And Nami and the mayor, they're watching it, and Nami's just disgusted. She's like, pirates, they're all the same. Because it seems that she thinks that maybe Luffy had done that, or he's just been fighting and they've just destroyed the building just for the sake of it, because pirates have no care. Even the mayor's thinking to himself, or he's saying, they take away what's most precious and laugh. And Luffy's just walking by, he's walking on his way to see Shushu, and Nami's not happy. She's saying, I ought to kill you right now before you can get a crew and go pillage some town. But the mayor seems to have an understanding of what's going on. Nami's just not happy because, obviously, of her experience with pirates, so she's applying that to all pirates, as you would expect, because Luffy's probably, I mean, the first different pirate that we've seen so far, besides Shanks, technically, and his team. But yeah, Luffy's saying you don't stand a chance against me, and Nami's like, all right, well let's have it out here then. But the mayor holds her back, and Luffy puts down a bag or the last bag of dog food in front of Shushu, and he says that's all I could get. There was nothing else left, and Nami understands. She's like, "Oh wait, he fought Moji so that he could help Shushu keep what was left of his treasure." And she's kind of seeing or beginning to understand what kind of person Luffy actually is. And Shushu takes the dog food and he walks off. I am assuming he goes to go to the shelter and be with the rest of the villagers now that he can take what's left of his treasure and keep it with him safe. And there's like a cute little exchange between Luffy and Shushu where um he barks to Luffy and Luffy's like, thanks, good luck to you too, and it you can see it kinda not warms Nami's heart, but she's kinda like, oh, that was nice. And then we go on to the next scene or the next panel where Buggy's in shock that Moji got defeated. And he's saying, "Get ready the special Buggy Balls." He said, "Tea time's over, kiddies. We're gonna light up this town till there's nothing left," showing the exact kind of person that he is. And Moji makes it back to the team and he's trying to explain that Luffy ate the gum fruit and he's a rubber man, and it's quite a funny um situation. They say, "Ahoy, first mate, Moji's back." He says, "Sorry, Captain." He says, "I've got to tell him that the kid is a rubber man." But obviously so exhausted, he's been beaten up, he's had to drag his way there. And he's dragged his lion by the looks of it. He says, "The kid, Captain Buggy." And then Captain Buggy goes, The kid in the straw hat has beat you, not Zoro." And the emoji's going, "The kid underestimated him. They got to tell him, Captain Sir, beware the rub, 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 man." And then he falls to the ground and just collapses. And his team's like, "What the hell?" One of them says, "What do you say?" Another member says, "Moji was trying to tell us something. He could barely stand. Must have been important. Beware the rub? What kind of rub could do that to a man?" And Buggy the Clown goes, that boy must have used some diabolical rubbing technique on him. The skipper's got it. Darn you, Moji. Beaten by him, sir. If this gets out, our reputation's scuttled." And he's like, "Load the bogey balls, we've got a town to destroy." And then Moji finally says, "A rubber man." But it's so dumb because it's just one of those situations. That's what I like. And once again, this is only volume 2, and so much has happened already. And I just think one thing that I've enjoyed about One Piece so far from reading books from 1 to 23 is that in 1 second the story will make you cry, then you turn the page and then you're laughing. I just think it's so good, and it's so dumb but in such a good way, and it's just so fun and enjoyable to read through. And yeah. So after that, we go back, and yeah, it looks like Shushu's joined the people at the shelter. Everyone's kind of worried about the mayor now because they're wondering why Shushu's come back and the mayor hasn't, because usually the mayor just goes to feed him pet food, and the townspeople are worried about the mayor, saying, "Oh, we hope he's not got into trouble or any danger. We told him to play it safe." And yeah, they're just thinking, "Oh, the mayor's not that stupid. He knows the town better than anyone." And yeah, it's just talking about that. And Nami's kind of saying, "Oh, sorry I yelled at you," to Luffy, and Luffy saying, "It's okay, I understand. I know you lost someone to pirates." But he says he doesn't want to hear the details or anything. And Nami has like this knowing smile. And I think it's kind of his way of saying, "I understand, but I'm not gonna pry, but like, that's your story to tell. It's none of my business." I feel like that's his way of saying it, not him saying, "Oh, I don't care." Because he seems like a very caring person, especially since he just stood up for a dog that he's never met in his life. So, yeah, I think that was him saying, "You can, it's your story, not mine, so I'm not gonna ask." Um, but then the mayor kind of has a bit of a meltdown. He's fed up. He's tired of it. He's saying, "Oh, you guys have, just saved us. I'm the mayor." That makes me, not that it makes him look bad, but he's like, "How could I let these people keep, getting away with destroying our village?" He says, "I can't stand any more of their cruel bullying, not after the way Shushu and this kid fought back so bravely. What kind of mayor stands back and watches his town be destroyed?" And Nami's trying to calm him down, and Luffy's trying to hype him up because Luffy believes in fighting for what's right and fighting for your treasure and what you believe in. And it's just such a good message to have. 2 volumes in, by the way. But yeah, Nami's not happy. She's saying, "Don't encourage him, do this." And then it kind of flashes back to the mayor's experience of when he came to the town, pirates had I believe that pirates had previously destroyed their last land, and so they'd all come and found this new land, and it was just like empty as flat space, and they said, right, this is gonna be ours, and you watch them build it over time, and it turns from like one house, and then it turns into a village, and now it's a whole, it's a whole port. And he said, look at us now, we're a thriving port. We old timers built this town from nothing. It's our life's work. This town and its people are my treasure. And he says, I'd be a sorry excuse for a mayor if I didn't try to protect the town I'm going to fight. And that's when Boogie decides to fire his boogie ball and take down more people's buildings. And he actually ends up taking down the mayor's house, which Zoro is sleeping in. And everyone's kind of like, oh, wait, is Zoro okay? But he's fine. He says that's one heck of a wake up, one heck of an alarm clock. So he's had his little nap and he's alive. But the mayor's really not happy because the pirates are, destroying the village and he wants to fight. And Nami's once again trying to calm him down, and he runs after Buggy and he challenges him to a fight. Meanwhile, as he's ran away, Luffy and Zoro are like, hey, this is getting good now. We're gonna, this is getting good now. We're gonna get stuff sorted out. And Nami's like, this isn't fun and games. There's no laughing matter. And Luffy says, okay, I like him. Yeah, I'm not gonna let him die. And Nami's just completely confused. But Luffy says, we're headed for the Grand Line. We'll steal the map back, and then we'll go there together. And he asks her again to join their team. She says she's not going to become a pirate, but she'll work with them. And she says, let's just say we'll join forces, work together for a common goal. So they shake hands, slap hands on it. They go to chase after the mayor who's trying to stand off against Buggy the Clown. As the mayor goes to challenge Buggy, we meet Buggy's second mate because the first mate was Moji and he's got knocked out. So the second mate is called Kabaji and he's an acrobat. I'll show you a picture of him now. So yeah, that's when we meet Kabaji, and the mayor's challenging Buggy to a fight, and he says, I'm here to challenge you. Kabaji comes in, the acrobat guy, and he says, don't worry, I'll take over. And he's like doing acrobat stuff and carnival, what's it called, circusy things, shoving knives down his throat, and he's saying, why kill me? It's Kabaji the acrobat. I don't, yeah. He goes to attack the mayor, and Buggy's like, "What are you doing? He said he'll challenge me, so he can fight me." And the crew had previously been egging him on, saying, "Ah, go get him, Kabaji." And then they say, "Ah, we won't be seeing Kabaji's acrobatic show." And Buggy's asking why the mayor wants to challenge him, and saying, "You're stupid." Because the mayor says that the town's his treasure and he wants to look after it. The town and its people are his treasure, and he wants to protect it and do something about it. And Buggy's like, her treasure's just like golds and things. It's nothing. It's not a town and people. Your town is nothing. The only thing your town that can offer us would be gold and jewels. It says treasure sparkles and makes its possessor a king. This dump of yours doesn't sparkle, it rots. And the mayor is not a happy bunny, and he says, shut up. Don't expect you to understand my feelings for this town. He says, now get down here. And Bogey says, get down there. And because he's got the chop chop fruit, he detaches his arm, starts strangling the mayor. Mayor's not really got a chance, unfortunately. But he has the best wishes, and Luffy ends up saving him. He takes the hand off of him, and the mayor's kind of annoyed. He's like, "It's my fight to fight. Stay out of it." And Luffy just swiftly knocks him out. And Nami's like, "Whose side are you on?" And Zoro explains he just would have got himself killed. So it's better to, you know, knock him out while he's ahead because the intentions are there. And it's kind of similar to the situation with Kobe in the last book. Luffy wants to see that you're willing to fight for what you. Luffy kind of sees that you're willing to fight for what you believe in and for what's right and for your treasure and things that are important to you. And then if he knows your strength and that you're not strong enough, then he'll protect you. But he won't just protect. It seems that he won't just help you randomly the way he was with Kobe. He was like, "Oh, I don't know, like it's your choice, you know." And then when he saw that Kobe stood up for himself, that's when Luffy stood up for him. Same thing for the mayor. He sees that the mayor's intentions are good, that he wants to help, but he doesn't have the means to help himself. And Luffy obviously doesn't want to get him hurt because he's just a mayor, and he's got he's got intentions. He's got good intentions for his people. So Luffy's there helping him. Buggy's in shock. He's like, "Oh, the Straw Hat Man, you're not gonna get away this time. I'm gonna kill you." So he shouts at his crew to shoot the buggy ball at Luffy. And Zoro and Nami are like, "Oh my god, get out of the way," because Luffy is just standing there. He uses the Gum Gum Balloon power, which makes him turn massive. And he kind of sucks in the balloon and then uh, throws it back out. Um, and Boogie goes, "What the heck is that guy?" And the team are going, "He took a direct hit from the boogie ball and bounced it back." And Zoro's annoyed. He's like, "You could have told us what you were gonna do before you did it." And Nami's in shock because I think at this point she still doesn't know that Luffy has taken the Gum Gum fruit. Yeah, she says, "Wow, I thought there was something strange about you. I mean, you did pile drive a lion. What kind of human being can do that? How can you inflate yourself by a balloon?" And yeah, he explains that it's the Gum Gum balloon, and she goes, "But how did you do it?" And yeah, the fight continues on. Um, but because they've bounced it back, the building or whatever they were in has been destroyed, and Boogie and the acrobat uh Kabaji, they use the lion and Moji as cover as a defense from to hide from any maybe further attacks or blasts from Luffy. Yeah, Nami says he's using as many shields. Yeah, it's not looking good. Oh, okay. I don't think they use Moji because he's standing behind them. It looks like they're maybe just using the lion. And Moji's confused. He's waking up. He says, "What are you doing to Richie?" So I guess that's the lion's name. Kabaji says, "Oh, the kitty, I was using him as a shield." Moji comes over to check on the lion, and he's not happy because the lion's now scared as well because it's been used as a shield. Moji says to Buggy, "Watch out, he's a rubber man. He's got special powers from eating the devil fruit just like you." Buggy's like, "The devil fruit? Why didn't you tell me earlier?" And then obviously he's like, "I did tell you earlier." um, yeah, so he gets kicked into the atmosphere because, or punched into the atmosphere because Buggy's not happy with him. He has a good way at bullying his own crewmates, which is lovely. And because he's getting blasted over to them, well, not the atmosphere, to to Luffy's crew, Luffy kicks him out of the way, and yeah, it's not looking good for Moji. And as they say, the battle begins. Kabaji starts running at Luffy, but Zoro steps in the way because Kabaji has a sword, and so there's a battle between Kabaji and Zoro because they've got the swords. And Zoro says, "If it's a sword duel you want, I'm your man." And Luffy says, "You should rest. I can handle him." Just because Zoro's still got the obviously hole in his side from being stabbed in the back. Zoro's not having it. He says he's gonna fight. As they're fighting, Kabaji um keep kicking Zoro in his injured spot, and it's just dirty. It's not nice fighting. Even Nami says, "That's dirty, you're aiming for his injuries." And he's showing off his circus tricks and things and just messing around, just throwing stuff around. And yeah, one of them, his circus tricks, he says, "I call my next circus trick Murder at the Steam Bath." And Zoro says, "What kind of trick is that? You're just kicking up dust." So he's not that good at his circus, yeah, party tricks. and the fight's quite intense. A lot of it is Zoro defending himself at the moment, and it looks like Zoro's getting beat. He's kind of laying on the floor and he's in pain, and Nami's kind of saying to Luffy, "Why are you just standing there and watching your friend get hurt?" I think she's expecting Luffy to step in and fight. I think it's one of those situations again with Luffy where he can gauge a person's strengths and he knows when to step in, and he knows that Zoro's said he's the greatest swordsman, or is that he's going to be the greatest swordsman, so he doesn't want to take away from the fight by stepping in when he knows that Zoro can, for one, win the fight by himself, and for two, he knows that if things do go downhill, he will step in and help. Where in comparison, he knew that the mayor wouldn't have the strength to fight, so he fought for the mayor or knocked him out so that they could handle it for him. Zoro can win and will win, and Luffy has faith in his team, so he's not going to step in if he doesn't need to. In that last moment, Kabaji comes in and he says, "Roronoa, Zoro, prepare to be well done." And then Zoro gets up at the last minute and fights back and knocks Kabaji down. Because Kabaji's on one of those unicycle things, and what's he even doing? I mean, he's meant to be part of the clown crew, so I suppose it's very fitting for him. So we can't judge him too much. Zoro says, "You're a very annoying person. I hope you enjoyed kicking my wound." And he cuts open, he either reopens his wound or he cuts himself again. And I think that's Zoro trying to express his strength. I guess that's his way of saying that to be the greatest swordsman, I need to be able to fight even with injuries open. Because I guess his injury healed a little bit and the guy's just been kicking at it. So he's like, okay, I can cut it open and I can fight through the pain so that, like, he'll get used to the pain, so he needs to fight in a little bit of pain. I don't know if that makes sense. He's fighting in pain so he can become better, because once he's overcome that, then he can overcome more pain and so on. He'll just get better and he'll do better and he'll get stronger. Anyway, he says, "Is that enough of a handicap for you? Now I'll show you some real swords play." And he says, and so Kabaji says, "So you injured yourself as insurance for your reputation. Well, don't worry. Your wounds are severe. They'll make an excellent excuse when you lose." And Zoro says, "It's the other way around. If I lose to the likes of you and my wounds are only this light, then I may as well give up my dream right now." So yeah, he's strengthening himself. He's saying, "Need to be able to um, fight in any situation. Let's make a new wound because the guy keeps kicking me my wound anyway. Makes it easier for him. And so even though my wounds aren't that great, if I lose, I'm not worth being the world's greatest swordsman." And Kabaji doesn't really care. Meanwhile, Nami can see that everyone's kind of distracted, so she says, "Oh, I'm gonna go make my way to the treasure." Yeah, she says that's the shack behind the ruins of the tavern. That's where they keep their treasure, and that Bogey's probably got the map of the Grand Line. She says she's gonna make her get the treasure, make her escape, and she doesn't really care what happens to Zara and Luffy. And she says, "But if you do happen to get the map, maybe we can work together." And then she says, "Good luck," and Luffy doesn't see that as like a backhanded good luck. He's like, "Oh, thanks, that's kind. You're gonna be our navigator," in his mind. Then Kabaji continues to grow out more circus tricks, and it just seems like he's just throwing stuff that's purely distraction method, because Zoro's just chopping things up and getting them out of the way. Boogie, the clown, the sneaky boy, says, "Oh, hey, Kabaji, like, whilst you distract him, I'll hold him down and then you can chop him up." And so he gets like his hand and he throws it out because Zoro's in the midst of swinging like more stuff out of the way that Kabaji's throwing at him, because Kabaji's up in the air at this point. And so Bucky's hand like goes flying out to go and pin Zoro down. Luffy steps in and he stomps on Buggy's hand, and he says, "Don't interrupt their duel," which goes back to my point of, if Luffy needs to step in, he will, because he believes in the fairness of the fight, and he believes that Zoro can handle himself, but obviously it's not fair for Buggy to then step in and have the upper hand, so he'll do it if he needs to, but he believes in his teammates and he knows what they're capable of. He says, "Keep your mitts out of Zoro's jewel," and Boogie's not happy. And Kabaji says, "I don't need the captain to lend me a hand to kill you." And Zoro says, "I'm done with this. Your tricks, they're bothering me. They're boring. They're lame. And I'm tired of it." He gets his three swords in hand. He's got two swords in his hands and then the other sword in his mouth. He starts his move and it's called Onigiri, and it means demon slash. And he absolutely destroys Kabaji. And Kabaji is in shock. He says, "How could these common thieves have beaten us? We're the Boogie Pirate Gang, the scourge of the seas. How could things have gone this far?" And Zoro says, "We're not common thieves. We're pirates." And then he goes to sleep because he's exhausted because he's been stabbed, kicked in his stab wound twice, and then sliced open his stab wound again, and had to deal with stupidity of the circus group. And yeah, it's been a day for Zoro. So Luffy says, "It's fine. You've done your bit. Kabaji's down. Go ahead, take a little nap." And it's time for him to face off Boogie the Clown. And Boogie the Clown say, "You guys call yourself pirates." And Luffy's like, "Yep, give us give us your map. I'm gonna be king of the pirates." And Boogie is in shock. um, he says, "Don't be a fool. If you're king of the pirates, then what am I, god of the pirates? The world's treasure will be mine, so forget it." And Luffy says he's getting bored, let's fight. And Boogie says, "You and your straw hat remind me of him when he was younger, that insolent dog with the red hair." And Luffy goes, "Red hair?" And obviously, or to me, I feel that that's reference to red-haired Shanks because obviously the hat is his anyway. And yeah, that's where we end volume 2 on that little bit of a cliffhanger talking about Shanks. And we do want to see who or what kind of person Shanks is to be known by Boogie the Clown. I'm sure we'll figure it out as we go along. Just for a little sneak peek into volume 3, we continue on with the fight with Buggy and Luffy. It looks as well that we meet another member of our crew. Yes, they're on this top. I won't tell you who they are just yet. Nami still is not fully part of our crew. She's not consented to being a pirate yet. So we'll see if she changes her mind in volume 3. Um, and yeah, there's a lot to discuss and talk about. And I think so far, having only read 2 volumes, so much has happened, and I think that's one thing that I do really like about the One Piece manga. It's so story packed and filled with so much, and it's so funny and it's so sad all at the same time. And the character development and the story building is just so good. And I'm also thinking in relation to the other books that I've read from 1 to 23 so far, and there are a few stories that I'm really excited to talk to you guys about, of some characters, but we'll get to it when we get to it, so I'll have to have some patience. Um, but yeah, I look forward to your guys' thoughts as well. Maybe if you've read it, maybe no spoilers though, please. But if you've read it, some thoughts of where from when you started volumes 1 to 23 or so on how you're feeling about how the story develops in the future. Spoiler free. But yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing this journey with you, the One Piece journey and Luffy's journey, and learning more about the team and learning more about Shanks. I'm gonna leave it there for today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you're enjoying my video, please leave a like. If you're enjoying my channel, please subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.